Stop the cap.
I need to go to bed. Um, I can't even watch the rest of this shit. These are my thoughts right now, and I'm because I can't stand a lot of times watching not only FD signifier clips, and I still got to post my other stuff about the gender war, in response to or continuation of the commentary that I had, because I had some more thoughts after I had made my original video. But whether it's James, was this Cam James, FD signifier, I mean, he even gives, what is it? Cam James even gives him, I don't know what it was at the beginning. What was it like? He was the editor or credits FD signifier. Like, they're all in bed with one another. And then you got the other dude that's like Caribbean. I don't know what his what his channel name is. But anyways, there's these three guys, and it's irritating watching their content because they seem to be more into the what would you call it, filmology. They're more into the editing, the heavy excessive editing, rather than just getting to the fucking point of what their argument is. They try to they over edit, and they try to they try to be funny and witty, and it's not really funny and witty, and they're not cooking. And they try to make their hour long commentary as though it's like some sort of documentary, and it's just they don't get to the point, they don't stick to the point, they deviate from the point several times, and then act like they're trying to make it cohesive, and it's not cohesive. So that's one of the issues that I have in listening to this commentary. And at the end of the day, all three of them just look like Democrat shills. When you have to, I mean, FD signifier, and I just caught Cam James doing it. I mean, they cannot make a video without bringing up transgender and talking about who's transphobic. Like, homosexuality is in every community. Transgenderism, in my opinion, is right there with body dysmorphia. All this, if you're attracted to the opposite sex, then okay, you're attracted to the opposite sex. But once you start getting into, I want to look like the opposite sex, that's mental illness, in my opinion. You're in the direction of mental illness. And I have no problem with people being homosexual and whatnot, but again, the only continuation of life is with heterosexual people, unless you want to talk about in vitro fertilization and all this stuff that requires serious medical intervention. But homosexuality or transgenderism is I see it as more within the framework of the white community, like the homosexuality amongst the Spartans. I mean, even ancient Egypt had some homosexuality, and you could find, murals and not statues, but murals that, denote, some level of homosexuality. It's always existed. It's always been amongst, mankind. But in terms of when we're having discussions about racism and white supremacy and the complex experience of being a marginalized group in America, like the people who are transgender or homosexual, that falls underneath the umbrella of black. It's the same as when Vivica A. Fox and who else was the other woman that was up there when they had the discussion with Ice Cube, Claudia Jordan, and they were like, where's black women with your contract of America? Like, that's covered underneath black. That's covered underneath it. And again, where some people will argue about the flat blackness, about how the people who are like the subcategories of the marginalized people, how they need to be explicitly brought to the forefront. I mean, Ice Cube was like, look, you can write in whatever you want in. I don't have any objection to that if you feel that. But all this is to benefit all of black people. But I personally don't understand the incessant need for transgender and homosexual people to be recognized on par with heteronormative cisgendered black people when, again, what they do and what they engage in is not conducive to life. It's not conducive to legacies, generational wealth, or the continuation of anything. That's just a fact. That's not transphobic or anti, homosexuality. It's a fact. If you take two men and put them together, or two women and put them together, it does not produce life. You do not get life out of that. So, if you're talking about in the context of the continuation of a community, none of that is helpful to the continuation of a community, which is tied to, putting future generations in a better socioeconomic position than they currently are in underneath the system of white supremacy. I mean, these guys cannot make a video without talking about either homosexuality or transgenderism. This is one of the primary things that caused the Democrats to lose, the election, like they lost the election. It's not conducive to family. It's not conducive to traditionalism. Most straight people want to link up with other straight people and start families. But one of the main obstacles to that, obviously, is resources and cost of living. That's where the focus is, or where the focus should be. Imagine Martin Luther King giving his speech and then sprinkling in transgenderism. Or Malcolm X, talking about the black community and sprinkling in transgenderism, or Medgar Evers or Fannie Lou Hamer, you know what I mean? Or who else? Give me somebody else. Farrakhan sprinkling in transgenderism. Like again, first off, that's not our shit. Like, at the end of the day, white people talk about that type of shit way more than black people talk about that shit. And I do see that being a distraction to black empowerment, because, again, when the Democrats went and they pushed that shit, yeah, they can go. First off, it's a very small population. Second off, it's more about recognition than actual tangible support, like what black people are demanding with reparations, right? And it's not a racial issue, because anybody can be gay. Right. And for some reason, when it comes to the system of white supremacy, they're less sensitive about that than when it's something that's specifically for black people. You say anything that's specifically for black people, they flip out. You start talking about transgender, they kind of let it slide, even though they don't particularly care for it, until the religious people come into the room, and then they're against it because, the teachings in the Bible. But these guys, I think their main issue with Tariq Nasheed, and I'm not here to cape for Tariq Nasheed, because I was watching, I'm looking at Cam Jones, and he's criticizing Tariq Nasheed because Tariq Nasheed has a Shopify. And I'm like, nigga, you have the Cam store at right below the fucking video playing. Like, what are you talking about? Everybody got to eat. FD Signifier over there bragging about, oh, y'all make me more money when y'all make videos about me. Oh, I'll get more money. I'll make just as much as the doctor makes. Right? Right? This is a man that was basically in a role reverse situation until he got popular on YouTube. So when we talk about patriarchy in the black, everything's toxic masculinity. And when we talk about patriarchy in the black community, when we talk about male leadership, when we talk about all of these responsibilities that black men are being tasked with, right? When we talk about the way that black men's manhood is compared and contrasted against the other races of men who, at the very least, control the economic landscape of their communities and run shit. You know what I mean? It's like it's like I don't even understand how black men would counter that going down the path. And this is the frustrating thing that again with FD signifier and even like the black feminist, women, they always want us to somehow as black men produce the tangible benefits and the fruits of patriarchy, but operating on a completely different paradigm. This is something that Patrick Moynihan brought up about how that doesn't work when in his 1965 Moynihan report, that you cannot have the subordinate group operating in a manner that is opposite the dominant group and think that they're going to prevail. But this is what FD signifier pushes, and Cam, was it Cam? I can't even forget the name. Remember the name, right? Cam James, and whoever the other dude is. They're always trying to. It's like they're trying to secretly like whisper in your ear and slip a dick in your ass when we're sitting here and we're supposed to be talking about black empowerment. Right now, them being Democrat Shills. See, the problem really is, in my opinion, the problem really is that the FBA movement, is it's bucking the Democrat Party. It's basically saying don't vote for the Democrats because the Democrats are not providing tangibles, right? And it doesn't support the LGBTQ and all that nonsense. And right, and there's validity to this point, which is that the white supremacists, like they had a point in there where he's talking about a freaking Yvette Carnell, and she was a part of some organization, that was anti-immigration, right? And so obviously we have this issue with the immigrants coming in here, not because we have a problem with black immigrants, because they're black immigrants. No, we have a problem with the way that the black immigrants come into this country, just like all the other immigrant groups, and act like they're superior to African Americans and act like African Americans are the problem when they don't fully understand the history that has transpired in America, and the anti-blackness and the marginalization and the redlining and the blockbusting and the Jim Crow and the eminent domain and urban renewal and the convict leasing and the 1954 Highway Commission Act and driving highways through our communities. Right. And all these policies and all these things that took place against the black community. So they come here, they listen to the old niggas is lazy narrative, African Americans are lazy narrative, and they come in here talking a bunch of shit. OK, and then when black people are talking about, reparations and what is owed. Right. So that we actually have the material resources to fix the community and fix the family dynamics, for the women that are not too far gone with their feminism, right? When we actually talk about fixing it, here comes the immigrant black people, looking for a pat on the head from Massa, talking about, oh no, we don't need that, Massa. We just don't need that. Oh, see, Massa, we's a hard worker. See, I drive my cab. See, we ain't coming here for handouts. Everybody who comes into this motherfucker is always looking for a pat on the head from white Massa. Everybody, I don't care whether they're Indian, Iraqi, the motherfucker from Turkmenistan, Bangladesh, fucking not Hawaii, freaking Polynesia, or Polynesian island somewhere, Latin America. Everybody comes in this motherfucker acting like they know how white folks get down more than African Americans that have been dealing with them and their terrorism for centuries and shit. And they always come here where black people, we're just the lowest of the low. And oh no, we're not like those black people. And you got all these groups, they got this whole hierarchy of racial color spectrum, and the people who are the most black, they're really trying to get away from black people. And then you got the other people that are just like what the Hispanics fucked around and found out. You know what I mean? They come in here with I'm hardworking, and you keep thinking that it's about that. It's not about that. Just as I brought up about the Vivek Ramaswamy, and you got Ann Coulter talking about I wouldn't vote for you because you're Indian to his fucking face. You got Thomas Russo telling PBD from Valuetainment that he's not a real American because motherfucker, you're Iranian. I don't care if you married a white bitch. It doesn't matter. You're fucking Iranian. You're not one of us. You're not an Anglo. And so you get all these people, they come here and they drink the Kool-Aid on what it is to be an American. And they think, oh, black people, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. That's why African Americans are getting sick and tired of the immigrants, when they fucking come here and undermine what we fought for, while they sit there and try to gain access to all the fucking benefits. You got Ethiopians and Somalians. Oh, we're not black, but yet they'll come over here trying to get an African American scholarship. Like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? That is not some made up shit. That is not just some grifter shit. That shit is real. Just like, again, black people are G checking every motherfucking body. And so, and then bringing up the Yvette, Carnell and the anti-immigration. Yes, two things can be true at once. The white supremacists, yeah, I'm sure they don't want black immigrants coming into the country. So if they can get African Americans to be anti-black immigrant, then that slows the process of black immigrants coming into the country. Especially at a time where white people's birth rates are on the floor. But that still doesn't change the fact of how these black immigrants come into America and then undermine African American agendas and are given platforms and voices to sit there and just talk these narratives of apologize, being a white apologist. And I'm saying we also have African Americans that are 100% African Americans that coon out just the same, like Brandon Tatum. You know what I mean? So you got your Candace Owens, then you got your Brandon Tatums, then you got your Jesse Lee Petersons. You know what I'm saying? You can just jump around. It's already bad enough that we got to deal with Coons and Uncle Toms and Stevens, from Django and shit like that. It's bad enough we got to deal with them. But then now we got to deal with people, who've only been here for fucking one generation or came here when they were a small child. So they know enough about African Americans, but at the same time, they don't really respect or value African Americans. They grew up in a household where they think of themselves as being different until their ass gets fucking pulled over and they get bopped over the head. Then it's a different story. Then all of a sudden, like that correction officer that got the fucking criminal ran into a supermarket and it was a black correction officer and he was in the supermarket and then that motherfucker started crying, talking after the cops mistook him for the black criminal that ran into the supermarket and he was over there crying, talking about, I'm one of you. He all felt some type of way, like that means something. No, you's a nigga. When they see you, they see a black man. They don't see you as the correctional officer. I don't know how many times I've seen them videos where you got white cops pulling guns on officers, on what do you want to call that? Not unmarked. What's the word that I'm looking for? Non-uniformed black officers or non-uniformed black FBI agents and shit like that. You know what I mean? The motherfucker sitting there like got his badge and everything, and the folks is still, acting out of pocket. Just like you had that one, I think he was Dominican. It was a Dominican dude where at the gas station, that police officer, he was a Marine or something like that, right? He was at the gas station and that cop pulled him out of the car and then hit him with the mace, and he was like, "This is fucked up. This is fucked up." Yeah, until y'all get a nigga wake-up call, then you realize what African Americans, have been saying. Then you realize this shit. But because all of this, being anti-immigrant, right? Because, the Democrats, they work for the billionaire class and they play good cop, bad cop with the Republicans who also want immigrants to come in the country because both of them, the billionaire class, wants their cheap labor. So they're going to be pro-immigrant, right? Not because they're pro any of these different minorities or any of these different groups coming into the country. No, they want their cheap labor. They want their cheap labor. They want to keep consumer capitalism going. If white people aren't having enough babies in the majority of this country, they got to bring somebody else to keep the machine going. They might as well kill two birds with one stone. Get your cheap labor and get more babies to come in because they don't care about preserving white culture. They only care about capital. That's all they care about. Capitalism cares about capital. It doesn't give a fuck about anything else. This is the part that the white people don't fucking get. They're so busy running around. They're like, I want to preserve my bagpipes and I want to preserve St. Patrick's Day. I don't give a fuck about no goddamn St. Patrick's Day. Okay, if they gave a fuck about preserving the white families and whiteness and white patriarchy, then you would be making $45 an hour, and manufacturing wouldn't have gone overseas. Like, fuck out of here. But like these guys, they just, to me, they just come off as they're Democrat shills. They want to promote LGBTQ. They want to say everything about men is toxic. Toxic masculinity is a problem, but yet somehow we still get stuck with all the same exact responsibilities that fall underneath patriarchy, all the same expectations that fall underneath patriarchy. Again, what the Democrat Party wants, it's not even the Democrat Party, what the powers that be want, and women, is they want men to take on the same exact 1950s styles responsibilities, devoid of leadership. There's no getting around that. What men want out of it is completely irrelevant. They want men to be productive to their benefit and operate and serve, serve them, so that they can still extract labor, so they can still extract, the maintenance of the infrastructure, so they can still extract the things that they need men to do that women don't fucking do. Okay, that's what they fucking need. And then they also need the immigrants to keep flowing. So having FBA sit there and say, we don't support LGBTQ, we want our goddamn reparations, and we don't support the fucking immigrants. And we're calling out the immigrants that are here that are undermining, the reparations movement. The Democrats, they don't want to actually do anything for black people, which is why they lost the election. You know what I mean? And an FD signifier and Cam want to come through and act like what should be the priority of black people is ending toxic masculinity and supporting transgenderism. That's what black people should be doing, as opposed to black people sitting on their hands until we get some goddamn tangibles. Like, we don't give a fuck whether this bitch implodes. In other words, if it's not going to be comfortable for us, well, fuck it. God damn it. It ain't going to be comfortable for anybody. And we don't give a fuck. And see, they don't want black people to have that sort of sentiment. So that's why they got to go and they got to pay the Democratic shills like FD Signifier and Cam and the other, Caribbean dude. Anytime, I mean, seriously, think about it. Show me where black people who were independent and weren't compromised. Show me where black people who were really for the black community, black leaders of the past, show me where they were pushing or bringing into the discussion anything about LGBTQ or trans. Right? You can point to a whole bunch of black feminists who got in bed with the white feminists that pushed that shit. Women like Lena Horne and Alice Walker and Bell Hooks, right? You can point to them. But when you want to talk about black people who were about the business of black empowerment, they weren't bringing that shit up. They weren't talking about that shit. And that's not to say that they didn't recognize that those people, also existed in the community. One of the strongest voices, of the black community was James Baldwin. But James Baldwin wasn't pushing his homosexuality as an agenda for the black community. He wasn't doing that. No. One of his last interviews, what did he say? He said, well, if I'm starving, you're in danger. You see, he kept it 100. He kept it ain't gonna be where you just hoard all the resources and we're just over here with nothing and you just gonna run around, feeling safe and shit like that. That's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? He hit that woman with the Jim Jones when Jim Jones was addressing who was that little small little pudgy Spanish dude where he was like, do you think that this is conducive to you to walk around the streets of New York like this? When he basically got into it with Chrissy, right? You think this is conducive to you walking around these streets in a comfortable manner? Right? Yeah, that's what James Baldwin was telling that white woman. I'm sick of this motherfucker. FD6, I know he didn't make the video, but he's a part of that group. He's a part of that clique. Where, these motherfuckers cannot talk about the black community without bringing up gay shit. And see, the thing is the reason why FD Signifier has such a big audience and all y'all white, because he consistently talks about the gay shit. White people love gay shit. I don't know why the fuck they love gay shit, but they love gay shit. They love gay shit. For some reason, the gay shit, it's like not threatening to them. It's all inclusive and all this other shit. They love gay shit. And it's like the Democrat shills, they got to keep it in there. Because you'll see them, they slip it in there all the time. Like the shit'll be talking about police brutality, and somewhere in there, they'll talk about toxic masculinity and transphobia. What the fuck does that have to do with this police brutality fucking video? What does it have to do? Well, it has something to do with that because there's been incidences of police officers that sodomized the black men who were arrested, and see, that speaks, and they were really secretly homosexual, and therefore they were part of the LGBTQ community. Oh my God, nigga! Oh my fucking God! This is how they'll try to like bring the shit in there. I'm telling you, watch his videos. Go through his catalogs. There isn't a video where these motherfuckers can talk or address whatever it is that they want to talk about without bringing up LGBTQ and trans. I'm like, when has that ever been a thing? When have we talked about black empowerment, the black community, and fixing the black family? Because I don't care what anybody says. If black men and black women don't get together, if you don't have straight fucking families getting together, well, it's a wrap. This a wrap. Stop talking about black anything. Stop talking about the black community. You know what I mean? At least the white nationalists, if they want to preserve the white, at least they get that part right. At least they get that part right. If they want to talk about the continuation of the white race or the continuation of the white community or white culture or whatever, they at least get the fact that you need a white man and a white woman, and you need to put them together in order to make a white family, right? To preserve white culture. They at least get that, right? But over in the black community, and think about it, like this was never the part of the conversation. Now all of a sudden, you got the black feminists and you got these sassy niggas running around that are always trying to slip a dick in your ass. And you're like, yo, what the fuck is this? And like I said, see, again, it's the hatred of male leadership. It's the hatred of, the patriarchy, right? They don't hate the benefits of patriarchy. They don't hate the aspects of where men are supposed to go out there and protect and provide, and men are supposed to go out there and build and maintain and work in the interest of these groups, right? Work in the interest of the LGBTQ people, work in the interest of women, including feminist women, right? They want men's labor, but they don't really value men and what men want. And anything that men want is labeled as toxic. Oh, it's toxic. Oh, that's the problem. It's toxic. And it's toxic. And it's forms of toxic masculinity. Toxic. These are Democratic DNC fucking talking points. Again, this is why the Democrat Party lost, 20% of black male voters. This is why they lost the shit. I'm saying of those who voted. That's just those who voted. When you talk about the number of that didn't even bother voting because they knew on the right, you ain't got nothing but white supremacists. And then on the left, you got, anti-male fucking LGBTQ. Everybody should be gay. You know what I'm saying? Transgender. Oh, you're transphobic. You know, if you don't find this man with a fucking mustache and hairy legs in a dress attractive, you know, like that shit is just, it's, I don't know, like, do any of y'all see this? It's, to me, it's so blatant. It's so blatant. You know, like as though the most pressing issue in the black community is us addressing trans issues. Really? That's the most pressing issue in the black community? That we have to bring up trans issues every time we have a fucking meeting about anything going on in the black community? That's the issues? You think trans issues are more important than the fact that we have a lot of black boys in the black community that can't read at grade level or can't do math at grade level, right? Which is going to directly impact, black women being able to get married and find men who are economically viable, right? How about teen pregnancy in the black community, since we got 42% of black mothers becoming mothers under the age of 20? Do you think that's a more pressing issue than talking about fucking trans people? Oh my God. Like, it's just, it's this shit. It's just, it's disgusting at this point. You know what I mean? And again, it's all put underneath the umbrella of the buttery goodness of, oh, it's just so, isn't this just so inclusive and lovely? And oh, this is just so wonderful. And we're so progressive. Ooh. And that level of progressivism will never do anything to benefit the black community. We got, and I hate saying this phrase, but it's the truth. We have way bigger fish to fry than talking about a bunch of dudes that want to masquerade as fucking women, or a bunch of studs that want to cosplay as niggas. Notice how the transgender, notice how all the black female studs, they all want to be niggas. Notice that. They're not trying to be, Barack Obama. Show me a stud with a bow tie. You won't find that shit. All you gonna find is a bunch of studs that are literally trying to be the niggas that black women say that they can't fucking stand. They trying to be the niggas that black women say that they hate. Want to sit up there, oh, I got a problem with black men. I got a problem with black men. Then go out there and date a stud that carries himself just like the niggas that they swear that they can't stand. Tell me I'm lying. I don't know. And again, it's like because we got a community of black women, that they think they're the spear tip of everything, and they hate black men and everything. They let these type of voices, be it, and part of that might be our fault, because many of us it got so bad we just checked out. It's the same as the church. You know what I mean? I was talking to Captain Solo about that freaking last night. About how, you start taking the things that give men their positive identity. You start taking away family. You start taking away your ability to provide for a family. Men will check the fuck out. And that's why you don't see black men in church. And the same thing goes on, with the white boy. White boys are checking the fuck out. These motherfuckers want to talk about World War III. Yeah, good luck getting these white boys to sign up for that shit. Oh, men are unimportant, but now all of a sudden, because you want to go to war, now all of a sudden, now you want to start running all these masculine military fucking ads and shit like that. Right? Like I remember when the army had that fucking, hi, I'm a girl and I was raised by two moms. I remember that bullshit. Oh, but when they need some warriors, when they need some toxic masculinity, right? When they need you to push a fucking 5.56 round through a fucking Iranian's head. Now they want masculinity. Now they want all the toxic masculinity turned up to 11. Fuck out of here. Damn, I swear, men are just so across the board. I don't care what your favorite color is. Across the board, Men are sick and tired of this society that wants to hate men and use men at the same time. Fuck y'all. Seriously, fuck y'all. We're just getting hit from all fronts. That even the movements in the black community that should be where these conversations should be laser focused, they're not laser focused. These conversations, motherfuckers trying to talk about gainful employment for men so that they can provide for women and children, talking about getting the boys up to proficiency, in school, talking about creating business opportunities, economic opportunities in the black community, working with the black diaspora, because that's a must. That's a must. Even though we're saying, hey, don't come over here and undermine us. You know what I'm saying? We don't go over to Nigeria and start meddling with the Nigerian government and meddling with the Nigerian politics. They would throw us in jail. But yet somehow, these other groups, not just Nigerians, but any other African, any other Caribbean black, they come into America, and then the motherfucker's been here for 2 days, and then somehow thinks that he has license to get up on the news and then start talking crazy about us in his broken English. The fuck, nigga? What the fuck are you doing? You see, so it's like we got to get past all this shit to be able to work together to the point that we can actually fucking compete. But then you got all these little sub factions. Everybody, well, what about what's going on with me? And what about going on with me? And all these you got these super ultra minority groups. You know what I mean? The people, the LGBTQ people, as a percentage of any given population, is about 3% population, maybe 6 max. And then you want to talk about trans, you're talking less than 1% of the population. So to sit there and make that a priority, this is the stupidity of the fucking left. Why would you ever make less than 1% of the population the priority? Why? If you're trying to win elections, why would you make that a priority? It doesn't make any sense. You see, people might say the same thing about the black community. Oh, but black people only make up 13% of the population. But again, as you saw with the last election, black people vote for the Democrats at 90%. So they need the black vote. They need the black vote. But to sit there and not cater to the needs of the collective of black people, with the vast majority of black people, and only focus on a narrow sliver of black people, and go up there and, you want to showcase, some black man that's trans and put him on the cover of magazines in a dress and all this other bullshit. You know what I mean? When you got, and notice, is trans really the problem? When people criticize the black community, what do they criticize? Do they criticize trans? Do they say, man, there's so many trans in the black community, it's such a problem? No. They say the problem is niggas. We got 14-year-old black male carjackers. We got black teenagers not graduating high school. We have a mass incarceration of black boys. We have crime in the community, home invasions, yada, yada, yada. Everything revolves around how problematic the black males are, right? And you would think that the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? You would think that where people identified the problem, that resources will be allocated to the problem so that it's no longer a problem. But no. See, black boys are just meant to be criticized about, right? Not to actually be helped, not to actually have their issues and problems addressed and corrected. No. They're just meant to be the boogeyman, the America's pariah. That's all our purpose is. And then people sit around and wonder, oh, how come you're not voting Democrat about some transgender issue? I mean, just think about the audacity of that. As a black boy, as a black man, nobody cares about what the fuck is going on with you. And yet somebody comes out of the fucking woodwork at the 11th hour and wants to call you all type of names and, oh, you are toxic and this, that, and the third, because you're not helping fix their fucking problems. You're not helping support what they got going on when nobody has ever given a fuck about what's going on with you. Everybody, you can eat a fat dick. And I mean that from the depths of my soul in conveying how I'd say the majority of young black men feel. Like, y'all can eat a dick. It's like everybody hates us, but everybody wants a motherfucking piece of us. Everybody wants a motherfucking piece of us. You know, saying, oh, we ain't shit, but motherfuckers over here crying because they ain't not getting validation from us. You know what I mean? They well, what are we doing? You know, what are we not doing? You know, who are we liking? Who are we dating? You know, what's going on with us? Who did we say was pretty? Who did we say was ugly? You know, everybody cares about what the fuck is going on with us, but they don't really care about what our needs actually are. They don't give a fuck. So we don't give a fuck about what's going on with them. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. You know, we tired of that shit. And then, motherfucker, anytime we was going to sit there and talk about, like, black men actually care about the entire fucking community. And you can see that blatantly portrayed when Ice Cube went up there on that freaking cocktails with queens and shit like that. You know what I mean? We're talking about things that help uplift the collective of the black community. And then we're stuck with this stupid ass gender war where the women are like, oh, we want things that specifically empower us, at the same time that you're bitching about the fact that, oh, black men ain't at such and such a level and they can't provide for us, and that's why I had to go over the fence or why I had to divest. But then when we talk about things that are specific to us so that we can be in that position, you start bitching and call it misogyny and misogynoir and the evil patriarchy. I'm like, bitch, how the fuck am I supposed to fix that? So I'm supposed to support you being empowered and making more money than me at the same time that you're bitching that you can't find men that are making more money than you, and therefore you can't date them because they're not making more money than you. But then when I try to address me making more money than you bitch and complain and call it toxic. Man, bitch, get the fuck out of here. Where's Becky at? Get the fuck out of my face. Oh my God. So frustrating. Anyway, I'm done. That's my video, SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. Should be fucking asleep right now.
On the scene, diamond blingy whole screen. Checkerboard Louis V. I'm so fresh and so clean. Stuff them bands in my jeans. Snap them 30s in them things. Pull the trigger, let it sing. Then go smoke a Russian cream.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hello?
Where
Where we at? Oh, you want to know where I'm at? We outside!